Hey guys! So, I'm really sorry I haven't made a video for you guys recently because we've been so super busy on the farm. And I realized that I haven't actually made a video giving you a little farm tour. So I thought I would do a quick farm tour video starting at our farm stand. Not too much in here right now as we are Tuesday. I don't know how well this is going to record in here. Hopefully it'll be okay. So I'm just going to take you on a quick tour of the farm and show you some of the things that we've been busy working on. Okay. So number one, here's a little update on the meat birds. They're getting really big. We have them in the enclosure where we had our goats, which we're taking a break on this year, and we will have more goats next year. So these are the meat birds. They're getting really big. And you can see why they say that they only get to a certain age and then they have to be culled. Because, yeah, they get really big. They're not like a regular bird. They're very different. So here they are. They get their freedom in here to do whatever they want, and this is their enclosure. They don't really make it very far, but they can go all the way down there and all the way around to the back. I think they're trying to tell me something. Maybe they're hungry and they want some food. I should probably bring them over another bucket of food, even though they got one this morning, but it's probably lunchtime. They do like the grass. They'll come out and eat it. It's kind of hot out here right now. Anyways. All right. They really don't like me. They don't like me getting super close to them, but they do know that I equal food. So, no, you can't come out here. So, as I said, this is the barn where we had the goats. And, well, as you can see with this little area, which is where we would put Billy when he was trying to be too friendly with the girls, and we didn't want him to. And you can see that obviously the goats are not here, which is a little sad, but we'll just have to come and weed eat in here. We were actually thinking about bringing the chickens over here and giving them this space to munch everything down, which they would really, really like. So this is the back side, and like I said, that's where the goats were, and this is where the goats will be again. And there's a nice shaded area back here. There's tons and tons of, I have stuff stuck in my shoe. Tons of space on this property, obviously, because we're almost 2 full acres here, and yeah, so we're trying to utilize our space as best we can. So yeah, so this is where the goats used to be and where they will be again in the spring, next spring. This big building here, I won't bother taking you into because it's an atrocious mess right now, but we will clean it up. We also have a huge greenhouse inside here and all of the parts to it, which we're going to build a greenhouse. Well, I'll show you where. This area over here we haven't really spent very much time tidying up. It really needs to be tidied. My husband is a roofer, hence the roofing material here. This is kind of his store room. This is obviously our wood, which we need to get more wood. And this wonderful overgrownness over here, which I can see my husband started weed eating, is, once again, this would have been a spot where the goats would have come and they would have munched. I mean, they wouldn't have completely eaten it down because goats don't do that unless we lock them in here. But this area in front of us along the fence line here, this is going to be, sorry, I was just looking at how much time I have left on my thing. So this area along here will be our greenhouse, because this is the space on the property that gets the most sun in the winter, which is why we chose this spot for our greenhouse. So the greenhouse is 20 foot by 30 foot. It's heated and double walled. So yeah, that's the greenhouse will go here, and then we've got room, or we're hoping that we will have room for this space that's behind me here will become another greenhouse, which won't be heated or double walled. It'll just be our hothouse. So this greenhouse will be a lettuce house, or greens, not just lettuce. And we're going to try and do it hydroponically. And then the other greenhouse, which we haven't purchased, will be tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and stuff like that need it to be nice and hot in the summer. So that's a plan. That's in the works, in the plans. And so when we start building this greenhouse, which should be within the next couple of weeks to a month, I will document all of that for you. I promise you will get to see all of that. So yeah, I'm also not going to take you out back because that's my parents' property. We share the property with my parents. So I'm not going to take you out back there. However, I will eventually probably give you a tour out there because it is really cute. My parents have done a ton of work, and they've got a bunch of little outbuildings that they build and stuff like that. They're actually away right now for a friend's birthday. They've gone to the States. So yeah, but I'm not going to take you out there. So this is one of the things that has taken a bunch of time away from us. And that is keeping this area mowed and weed eated. So it's a lot of work, and it usually takes about 2 days for my husband and I to go around the entire property and weed eat and mow, and we haven't even gotten around everywhere, as you can see. Yeah, this patch of dead grass here, which will come back before we know it, that's where all the dirt was for our carrot beds here. So this is the last time that you saw this. Did I show this to you? I don't know if I've actually put this into any of the videos that you guys have seen. This didn't have a fence, so we fenced it. We finished it. I can see that my plastic is not where it's supposed to be. Whatever. But these are our market beds for carrots. So the plan is to have 4 spaces of this size eventually on the property. We have 2 of those spaces already built. This is one, and this is one of the things that we've been busy doing. So we have carrots planted along in here, and some of them are up, as you can see. So I've got a full video about me planting these and the best way to plant your carrots and how to force them to come up quickly with black plastic, as long as it's actually on top of your beds. But I see that we didn't secure that after we watered this morning. And this space is actually supposed to be just carrots, but I went gung-ho planting tomatoes this year, and I had all of these tomatoes and I didn't know what to do with them. So we decided that we would give up a foot's worth of space in each of the beds to grow some tomatoes. So they are mostly cherry tomatoes. I think all of these ones might be cherry tomatoes, actually. So yeah, we shall move along. I will take you to see the turkeys. And so this area back here, which you can see, we had some trees come down. I do not know what is going on with the water. See water? Water everywhere. For some reason there's a bunch of water here. And I think that a hose got left on, but I don't know. Anyways, I can't keep up with everything. So this is where the chickens usually are, in this back area here. But as you can see, it's quite barren. It's starting to grow stuff back in it. The ducks, because it's attached to the pond, so the ducks have access to it, because we wouldn't take that away from them. But the chickens have been closed out of this space, and I will show you over here where they have been allowed to go and eat and munch and all that sort of thing. So and yeah, like I said, I guess we're working on a little pond here. I guess the water got left on or something. Beep, 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 beep. Like crazy got left on. I don't think that there's still water because it doesn't seem to be getting worse, but jeepers creepers. These are the turkey lurkeys. Hi, turkey lurkey. And they're getting big. Really big. And we're actually down a turkey. I'm going to make a video about that. And I'll explain what happened. And yeah, so we've only got 4 turkeys left. But they're okay. This little guy here got hurt. But like I said, I'm going to make a full video about that. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. And then he keeps fighting with one of the other boy turkeys because I'm pretty sure he's a boy. Yeah. Yeah, who's that? Say hi, YouTube people. Say hi, YouTube people. I got hurt. But I'm okay. I'm tough. I'm a tough bird. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh, it's okay, baby. I know. He would really, really like it if I would just like pick him up, and he always tries to jump on us now that he got hurt, but he's got a bit of a drippy bum, so yeah, I don't really want to pick him up. Okay, okay. He gets really excited when we come out here. Okay, anyways, so onward we go. So this, oh, and then update on the other chicks. 1, 2, I don't know where the other one is. Oh, in there. So they're just kind of like doing their own thing now. They don't even hang out with mom. They're mostly on like on this side. We're trying to encourage them to be in there, but they can get out. So, and they were in the carrot patch. My husband has put some stuff around the bottom so that they can't get in there anymore. And they dug up some carrots. Grr, I don't like that. Anyways, so you can see these guys, look at you run. These little chickens are actually 3 days older than the other chickens that we just saw in the other enclosure, if you can believe that. So that's their difference in how quickly those other ones grow. And these guys are, well, obviously still really little because they're just little chicks. These guys are almost 6 weeks now, and the other ones are just over 5. And the turkeys are 5 weeks old, or they were yesterday. So this is where the chickens lay their eggs, and this is where their food is and their water. And then this is their enclosure. I'm not going to take you in there because it needs to be cleaned. These are our compost piles, which the chickens, so this area out here, it's got a show off over there. This area here, it needs to be mowed, obviously, but we occasionally let the chickens out here. They were out here yesterday having a bit of a munch, and then they also always get into the compost pile and spread it everywhere, which you don't really want your chickens to be spreading your compost everywhere because then it's not mounded, and if it's not mounded, then it's not going to break down properly. So one day we will have built-in compost areas so that the chickens can't do that anymore. But for right now, we live with what we've got. It is what it is. So this area is atrocious. It has been so wet, and this we had boards down here which had actually caved in and were blocking our little creek area here. It's all dried up now, but like yesterday and the day before, it was still running. And so the darn roosters. So that's what all of these boards, all of this stuff is here for, is to replace what the old stuff and kind of fix it up. I mean, we have plans of someday putting a deck in here, which will happen someday. But we don't want to go into debt to do any of the things that we want to do on our farm. So everything is just from whatever money we can save up, and then we just take whatever we can get to use in spots. But this, and this will probably be a project that hopefully I will film. This area here, thank you, clearly needs some work. So anyways, there we go. Greenhouse. So this is just a little quick inside of our greenhouse, which is quite a mess right now and needs a big cleanup. These are my cucumbers. I have 5 of them that survived. I lost most of them. That's okay. These are peppers, which my turkeys keep eating. And they're teeny tiny. So what I think I'm going to do with these peppers is I'm going to overwinter them because they won't get... Yep, that's a turkey. They won't get too big or do too much this year, but I will overwinter them. So I'm going to pot these guys up, and then I'll bring them in here over the winter, and we'll see if we can keep them going. And we'll see what they do for us. Hey, would you stop? It is not okay to eat the tomatoes before they're ready. Come here, you. Well, will you come up here? And what do you expect? What do you expect? I'm going to lock you guys out of here. We put them in here for their protection. Because like I said, something bad happened. And so they can be in here and they can get away from any predators that might want to eat them. Okay, go. Off you. And like I said, it's a bit of a mess in here, but these are just my little tumblers. And I've got more tumblers back there. And these are my other cucumbers. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh my gosh. And I may eventually do a video on this, but this is my husband's thing, so I might have to ask him to help with the video for this. This is his watering system, and these are all different kinds of teas that he, checks their ppm and checks their pH and all that sort of thing, and he waters the garden with these. This is how we fertilize our garden. So yeah, each of these bins is bubbling inside. I can't remember which one is which, though he's told me a million times. But yeah, so these are our watering, and we fill all of these from our pond out front. So we're trying not to use any water from the property. No, we're trying not to use any city water, let's say. Yeah, anyways, that's just a little quick in the greenhouse. These guys are doing pretty good. They've grown leaps and bounds since I put them in these pots, which is great. I'm not a huge tomato grower, so I don't really know a lot about them. These are determinate tomatoes, so they'll just grow us some tomatoes in these little pots, I hope. But this is where we have really been working. And this is obviously the garden. I mean, I think that you get that. So we have roosters. We put in quite a few new beds this spring, and I think we're almost there. I've decided that in here behind us, well, we decided to put this bed in, even though we were going to do this all strawberries, and then I changed my mind and decided that we would put this shorter bed here, and then we're going to do one more 4 by... I didn't realize that it was going to be so noisy over here trying to make this video. Another 4 by 12 foot probably bed in here, and then because of the way that the garden kind of like it gets smaller, because if we follow those we should be able to get 3 4-foot beds in here, but we won't. Anyways, this fence is all going to be going because we've got some plans, some things that we're going to do. So we'll figure out what's going to happen in this space throughout the summer. So this is the spot where we have the chickens, And it wasn't that long ago that this was like up to my belly button grass. And they've eaten it back, as you can see. But they also have access to my sister's backyard, which is an overgrown jungle. If she's listening to me, she knows it's an overgrown jungle. Overgrown jungle. And we're really hoping that they will make their way in there and kind of eat some things down. But for now, this is where they're hanging out mostly, I guess. And yeah, so I'll just quickly go through and kind of point out what's planted in which beds. So this is one of our new 3 by 20 foot bed. We actually made both of these 3 by 20 feet. The other beds, these other 3 beds here, are 2 of them are 3 by 23 foot, and the middle one there with the net on it is 2.5 feet. Just because when I made it a 3 foot bed, it was too big. There wasn't enough room to walk in between, so I decided to make it a little smaller. So these beds were going to be 23. Well, these beds were originally supposed to be 20 feet. I don't know what happened. When I built them, somehow 3 extra feet got thrown in there because I guess I was going on the space. And it wasn't until I was gardening by the square foot that I realized that these beds were bigger than I thought. So when we brought the wood over here, we had these nice big long stretches of 2x4s that are 20 feet long. And I told my husband that that meant we're just going to make these beds 20 feet long. And I don't care. So in here we have spaghetti squash. And then these are some Walla Walla onions that may not be ready until next year. I've never grown Walla Wallas before, so we'll see. I started those from seed, obviously, because they're so small. And then in behind that is a row of, those are butternut squash. And then we have, I can't remember exactly what order I planted it in. And I just planted these the other day, so they're going to take a little while to come up. But there's broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower. And a nice big area of arugula and spinach down at the end. And then where those poles are pole beans. And in behind that is what is here repeated. So butternut squash, Walla Walla onions, and then spaghetti squash. So this will be a very full bed once we get there, once it all comes up. And I broke down and I bought these little guys here because none of mine came up. I don't know why. A lot of my seeds did not come up for some reason. In here, these are more Walla Walla onions, and there's some celery down at the end because we had a ton of celery and we didn't want to see it go to waste, so we just planted it. And then we've got some tomatoes growing in here. And then we have more onions, as you can see. This is 3 or 4 different kinds of onions, and I can't remember which is which. And I'm going to do a video on this. I'll actually show you close up. This here is it's beet, and these beets were in here from last year. I left them in so that they'll go to seed so that we can collect their seed. So if you want to collect some beet seeds, just leave a couple of your beets in the ground. It's the same as carrots. And then the next year you'll get some beautiful seeds, and then you'll have your own seeds. Now I find that with anything that you grow, if you grow something from the seed that grew from the property, it grows better, like almost like it was genetically modified for your area without being genetically modified, if you get what I mean. Like it picks up the, I don't know how to word it, but it knows the area. It grew there, it grew seeds from there. So yeah, I might figure out a better way to word that after. But so I'm probably going to do a full video on these beets, planting beets, and harvesting their seed, and carrots. But because last year we grew and harvested all of our own carrot seeds, we have tons, like way more than we ever could have needed, even for the beds that we've planted out there. So the carrots that you saw over there were our own seeds, all of them. there's there's over 4,500 carrots planted there, and those are all from our seed, so that's awesome. Anyways, so these are beets, and these are going to make us some new beets. We won't have to buy our own beet seeds. And then down at the end here, these guys here are leeks, which are going to take a while to come up, but that's okay. And then these ones here were a green onion, like a, I can't remember. But anyways, they're supposed to be like a smaller green onion. And I think that I didn't have enough. I didn't have very many. So I had holes, spaces that were left. And so where those spaces are, I have planted more spaghetti squash in this bed just to fill that out. And because I love to grow squash, but I didn't leave myself a ton of room for squash. Anyways, okay, so we'll work our way down this bed. This is more celery. So this is the same celery, like this was all started at the same time. So I hope that this stuff does all right. These guys were kind of smaller and shoved into like a little pot. So we just put them in there and we'll see what they do. And then these guys here were planted into the ground earlier than those ones. And you can see these ones are doing quite well. Don't know what that noise is. So I've got a nice big patch of celery going. This is cauliflower, and then we've got kale down the side, and then the cauliflower ends, and we have cabbage and a cabbage moth. You see that inside there? That bugger. I swear. Anyways, some to share for everyone. So cabbage and then kale growing all along the side there, which you can see. I need to take this net off so that I can start harvesting the kale. The net was just on there to protect the little babies from our chickens and stuff, and so it needs to come off now. I just haven't taken it off. Yeah, and then we didn't realize, I thought that these were kale. I forgot that I had planted a couple of different cabbage, and these are really big cabbage and they're planted like kale, which is way closer together. So anyways, yeah, they're gonna, I don't know how well they're gonna do because they're kind of crammed into that space. Anyways, and then potatoes. This whole bed here is potatoes, which need to be mounded, clearly. And then you can see these beds, the 8 beds in the back there, and these 4 beds over here are all strawberries, which we finally got weeded out and probably needs to be done again. This is where we had our sprinkler last year, but I don't know if they're going to let us sprinkle this year, so that we may not use this. So this is goji berry. It does produce, and now I've been cutting it back like crazy because it will just like take over this whole area. I'm not quite sure how to grow it, but they get really big and they do produce quite a few goji berries. We don't usually harvest them. I leave them for the birds, but we'll see what happens this year because it's really getting big this year. And hiding inside here, we have some currant. This is a red currant. It's actually a cutting that I took from a currant bush from over there that survived, and I shoved it in here, and well, there it is. And this is another goji berry. They're really big, crazy. And then this is another currant bush, which I really need to research how to grow currant. I have no idea. It looks super healthy, but there don't appear to be any berries on it. But it has berried heavily in the past, so I don't really know. I also don't really like currants, so it is what it is. Somebody else planted this bush here. And this is the blueberry patch. So some of these bushes were already here when my sister moved in. We are technically on my sister's property right now because we share a garden, or we garden her property. So it's a win-win. We both like it. As you can see, the blueberries this year are going to be insane again, and they were insane last year. There's 2 bushes in here that are this one here and this one here. We've never really done anything to these bushes and you probably should like trim them down and whatnot. They are like really old. I don't know how long blueberry bushes last, but they were here and well established when my sister moved in. And they're still going strong. And then this particular bush, which is got quite a few berries on it as well, was just a little teeny tiny guy when we moved in here, or when she moved in here. And it's doing quite well. So, yeah. And then there's some others that we planted fairly recently that are doing okay, I guess. And this all needs another weeding. So, yeah, they're doing pretty good. Some of them have berries and some of them don't. This is called a tayberry. So it's a cross between a raspberry and a blackberry. They're okay. They produce a decent amount of berries. They're not super sweet, but they do get a really big, like plump berry on them. So it's kind of neat for something different, but I'm not going to go out and buy a whole bunch. We'll just leave it to this one. It kind of grows like a blackberry, only it's not as aggressive. And then in behind here are blackberries. We did cut them back quite a bit this year because we don't want them to take over, but we also want to get some blackberries because they're important. And then along this side here is all of our raspberries, which, well, that one obviously still needs to get in the ground from last year, and there's another one or two in here. I just haven't had time to come through and weed here. And then these that you're seeing on the wall here are they're hydroponic tubes that we acquired from someone, and I always wanted to try and plant something in it. This one here has dirt in it, which I need to take out because I'm going to try to do some hydroponic strawberries. So I'm going to grow some strawberries vertically, and I'm going to set this up. I have 6 of these tubes, so I was going to build like a frame. And my cat's got something over there, hopefully not a snake. Yeah, anyways, so that'll be a video to come when I have some more time, which I'm getting into having more time because we've got all of the garden things in. Now it's just upkeep and watering and like weeding, watering, and harvesting, pretty much. There's a fly on you. Oof, darn fly. Anyways, so yeah, the raspberries, which you can see, are starting to get... Why, fly? Starting to get berries. And then there's some blackberries growing in there. I really need to come through here and weed this out, which I haven't. And actually with the blueberry bushes, I have a bag of peat moss. I actually have 2 bags of peat moss that I'm going to spread underneath the blueberry bushes. But we've been doing pretty good at keeping the weeds fairly well out. And this is... Oh, I might need to wrap this up. My husband's home. This is the strawberry beds. So we have 8 rows. I think they're 15 feet long. 8 rows here, 4 rows here. And this is more raspberries. So the raspberries run all the way down this side. And there have been some bees, which is good. They've been humming pretty good. This is a spot, well, this is actually really sad, pathetic. I did harvest some of these the other day. This is where I have my rhubarb, but it's a really bad spot for my rhubarb and I need to move it. But for now, that's where the rhubarb lives. I need to figure out somewhere else because it never grows very well there, but it's still alive. This we haven't quite finished. This will be a 4 foot by 6 foot bed in here as well, which we just had some extra dirt, so we threw it there. And I'm starting to collect up some old boards from around the property because I don't have money to actually go out and buy boards. This is our parsley, and these, so I did plant a whole bunch of broccoli, but a bunch of it bolted on me. So we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that one doesn't look too good, 6, 7 or so. And then in all of the spaces around, I've planted seed, or I've seeded other broccoli. But these broccolis are starting to head. That is always so exciting. I love fresh broccoli. This is so good. This is the lettuce. We have romaine, which we haven't cut any of yet. So we're waiting for them to get nice and big. And we have been selling these in the farm stand. Then we've got 2 different kinds of green leaf and red leaf in the back there. And I did come through and pretty heavily prune these, or cut them, harvest, there we go. I came through and I harvested these yesterday morning, I think. and they need to be cut again. They grow so fast at this time of year. And if it starts to get too hot, they'll start to bolt. So we don't want that to happen. This bed is a bit of a mishmash. It originally started out being peas and arugula and spinach. My spinach like immediately bolted, as did my arugula, so I removed that. Most of the peas didn't come up, and so now the peas that did come up are finally starting to flower. This will be our first pea when it becomes a pea. And I've also planted some butternut squash in here, and there's one pumpkin out of all of the seeds, and it keeps getting eaten, as you can see, but there is one small sugar pumpkin. There's some volunteer potatoes in here I can see that keep coming up. This is just some kale. Oh, and some morning glory, which is our favorite. Really easy to grow around here. Just kidding. These are green onions, which have not transplanted very well, but we'll just wait and see what happens there. And then spinach that for some reason I don't seem to like to harvest. I'll pick some of that now. This is the only one really that didn't bolt. And so because this didn't bolt, and there's 3 of these here, I'm going to let them go to seed, and I'm going to save these seeds because they didn't bolt right away. So yeah, I might save the seeds from those ones over there too. They're 2 different kinds. I can't remember what kinds they are. And then there's just some, this is snap pea, or sweet pea, that's what it's called, sweet pea, so not for eating. Some other flowers back there. And in this bed, there are some zucchinis, really trying to survive. The dog keeps laying in this bed, and these zucchini plants were in horrible shape because they were rescued from a girlfriend. So we'll see what happens with this bed. And then some kales in the corner, which should start to take off. And then this is beets, which have come up really nicely. And this bed here was carrots. They did not come up. So I gave up and did another planting of beets. So these will be 2 nice big beds of beets. And over here, we have some more zucchini. That's these guys down here. And then in this middle part that hasn't come up yet, and gosh, I hope that they do come up, are my small sugar pumpkins. And then this will need to be, like I put like that one over there. So I just use the rope from our hay from when we had the goats. I have a whole bunch of string left over from that. So I'll just string this, and then the pumpkins will grow up here. A few more Walla Walla onions, because I just had so many I spread them out. And these were potatoes that we saved that were in this area here. Hello. That were in this area over here, and we dug them up. And, well, they seem to be doing okay over here. So there we go. And this is a 4 by 30 foot bed of peas, and they're all starting to flower. And also you can see they've been totally munched, but they'll probably come back. These are bush beans, and there's 2 rows of bush beans all the way down to the end. And then we threw in some other tomatoes because we had so many tomatoes that we threw some in down here, and we'll see how they do. They're not in the greatest of shape, but we've got a lot of tomatoes. And then you guys have already all seen the garlic. So this is the soft neck, 500 heads, which haven't scaped, which we're not sure if maybe they don't scape. I don't know. I still haven't looked that up. I should look that up. And then these guys here are starting to scape. And if you don't know what a garlic scape is, this is a garlic scape. It's its flower. So when you grow garlic, this will be your first crop that you'll get if you're smart enough to use it. You can either sell them just like this. I make a garlic pesto that people love, and I actually need to come through here and break off any ones that have curled over like this and make some garlic pesto. Wow, that smells so strong. So these guys are getting really big, really big. And we did have a group of them over here. For some reason, actually, they seem to have come back up. They fell down. It was really wet, so we think maybe it just got too wet and they fell over. So we tied them up. They're doing good, and they've actually looked like a lot of them have stood back up. So that's good. Oh. You scared me, you little chick. What are you doing in here? You little rat. What are you doing in here? The chicks are cute. They're really cute. They are. Except they go in and they dig up everything. And they eat everything. And so don't let them in your garden. Little monsters. They're little, so they can get in everywhere. Anyways, yeah, so this is just the other side of the pea bed, which for some reason the beans seem to be doing better over on this side. I don't know why. But eventually we will have some bush beans coming out of here and some peas. I can't wait for that. Okay, we have a couple of trees that we started here. This is pear. I don't know if we'll get any actual pears off of it this year. It flowered heavily, but it doesn't seem to have set any fruit, but you never know. Sometimes there'll be like 5 or 6 on the tree. Last year there was. This is the fig, which is doing quite well, and it's got some figs growing on it already, which is what we like to see. And at this time of year, you can start taking these fig leaves if you want to, because it makes a really nice tea. It's actually really good for diabetics. I'll try and give you some more information on that, but I do know that it's good for diabetics. This is a plum tree, which it did flower, doesn't seem to have set any fruit. Who knows? I don't know why. This is an apple tree. This is a gala, and it flowered, but once again, we may not actually have any fruit on it. These are all young trees, so they'll do what they'll do right now. This is another apple tree, and yeah, it's not in the greatest of shape. And we do have a peach tree over here that, well, doesn't look like it's doing so good. Friends of ours say it needs to be undercover, so we're gonna move it up against the house, I think, or we might just buy a new tree altogether. Somebody gave us this one, so we don't even know how old it is. And this area over here, this is where we are going to take down this fence that runs along the garden here, and we're going to move it to run from where the edge of the farm stand is to where the edge of the deck is. And this will become blueberries in front of us. And this is a pond that my husband dug last year because it was really, really wet here, and it's great. It's taken a lot of the water away from the house, and we're using this to water our garden currently, which is awesome. So yeah, this is going to be blueberries, and then this area over here will be another area like the carrots and the garlic. We've decided that this area gets a really decent amount of sun, especially if we trim this cherry tree, which is actually just an ornamental cherry. If it was a real cherry tree, we wouldn't be thinking about cutting it down. We don't actually want to cut it down, I don't think, or maybe we will, but we're going to trim it really well. And then some of the cedars could be trimmed back a bit, and these 2 trees need to be taken out because they're dying. They're in really rough shape. But this will be another rotation market area here and behind us, so that's awesome. Yeah. And I also have plans. This is where the gate will be, and so these fence panels that are sitting here are going to become a little fenced in area for the farm stand, and that will be where we'll sell a lot of our plants, which are out front right now, but we want to sell more plants than we are. That'll give us a good area for that. And then here in this area, I plan to put a 15 by 12 foot greenhouse, which I need to have somewhere that I can do all my starter trays for all my starter plants, because I'd like to sell them. Hanging baskets for tomatoes, for hanging strawberries and stuff like that, and I need somewhere that I can put them. Our current greenhouse right now is actually going to become kind of more like a sitting area for us, which we can still do some growing in there, but I need somewhere else. So that's what this is going to become. But I also want a covered area where we can do wreaths in the fall. I want to do classes and like hanging basket classes and stuff. Not necessarily classes, but hanging baskets for like Mother's Day and stuff like that. So it's just nice to have another covered area where we can do some stuff outside and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's it. That's the farm, pretty much, in a nutshell. There's probably other things I didn't really show you, but that's about it. So thank you very much for joining me today, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to our channel and click the notification button so that you know when we upload new videos, so that you can see all of these fabulous fun things growing and watch us harvest them and make things out of them. Coming up will be a video on my garlic scape pesto, because I actually need to make a batch for the farm stand. And I actually have a bunch of videos in the works. One is the turkeys, to give you an update on them and what happened to that one turkey that you saw was missing. And one is on the carrots that we just planted and how to get your carrots to start really quickly. So yeah, if you want to know when those videos come up, hit the notification bell so that you know when a new video comes up from us. And hit the like button if you like this video. And thank you much. Thank you very much for joining us on the farm today, and have a good day. Bye. Please don't kill me, bug.